lot of work with us Vietnam vets. I am going to share a prayer, but I first would like to ask all of our Vietnam vets if you would stand. If not possible, then raise your hand. I am just so excited to be here with you. We made it. We came home. So good to see each one of you, and so many of you are still serving our community in so many different ways. I also would like to acknowledge my former battalion commander in the Florida Army National Guard, Colonel Tom Cannington. If you would stand, wave your arm wherever you are. Wonderful man who totally acknowledged my service in Vietnam as I served his battalion in the National Guard a number of years ago. Thank you so much. Okay, be seated. Now, some of you here may not be on the God page of life, but I would ask you to be a good fellow American and stand quietly by with those of us who are while we have a sacred moment. Dear God, we acknowledge you as sovereign over all the earth and that you have set the boundaries of the nations. Because you are supreme, we humble ourselves before you today, thanking you for the freedom we have in this country and for the men and women who have done so much to preserve it, with some who have even given their lives in the quest to maintain it. Help us today, Lord, as the wounds of our hearts and memories of all that happened in Vietnam are still healing. Help us to understand the value of the sacrifices we made so long ago. Let us never forget those who bravely served with us, but who did not make it home. May we live our lives doubly well in their honor. We thank you now, Lord, for the opportunity to remember and to honor all those who have served, but especially today for those who have bravely served in Vietnam. We did not run, but stayed the course. God bless you and God bless the United States of America.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It truly is a blessing to be here today at the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans and War Dogs Remembrance Ceremony. As a veteran of the United States Army, I'm deeply honored to join all of you to pay tribute to the veterans of the Vietnam War, their courage, and especially the sacrifices they made for our nation. We would be remiss if we didn't include every member of the family. This includes our four-legged warriors, the war dogs, and their heroic handlers in the K-9 Corps. Dogs have been our loyal companions throughout history. They've been there to give us comfort, companionship, and protection, especially during difficult times. Dogs are not just pets, they truly are members of our families. Their keen senses, learning abilities, physical endurance, and devotion have also made them fiercely loyal and invaluable companions on the battlefields, both past and present. During the Vietnam War, our troops had to patrol thick jungles by day and night, but they had secret weapons who were feared and respected by the enemy and honored and loved by our troops, the war dogs. These well-trained companions became an extension of their handlers' senses. They were able to see, hear, and smell danger that was otherwise undetectable. During the war, nearly 4,000 specially trained dogs served in a variety of roles. They were valued scouts, sentries, trackers, and patrollers. Dogs were trained to detect all kinds of hidden dangers, from snipers to tripwires and weapons caches. Dogs could even detect enemy fighters submerged in rivers. These four-legged warriors and their handlers are credited with saving more than 10,000 U.S. lives and preventing countless injuries. The war dogs continue the time-honored tradition of being man's best friend in every sense, protecting, supporting, and loving their human companions. Our nation and Hillsborough County owe a huge debt of our gratitude to the war dogs and their handlers for their service and sacrifices. As county commissioner and as an Army veteran myself, I believe it is our sacred duty to serve those who once served us. That's why I will continue to work to ensure our county strengthens services for our elderly veterans. We must build a county where no veteran is left behind, not in a waiting room, not in a shelter, and not in silence. To every veteran here today, and especially those who've carried this nation on their shoulders for generations, we see you, we thank you, and we will fight for you just as fiercely as you once have fought for us. May God bless our veterans. May God bless Hillsborough County. And may God bless the United States of America. God bless you all.
If you're an animal lover, our next speaker may be of particular interest to you. You've heard a little bit about the war dog, okay? But he was called the War Dog Man during his military service in Vietnam. And his K-9 was the inspiration for the War Dog Monument that's here in this park. And that sits inside the Vietnam Memorial down near the canals here, okay? So if you would, please welcome Ken Marshall. Okay.
What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day, and I can look out and I see a German Shepherd. That even makes it a better day. You know, sometimes the greatest victories are invisible victories. They're won in our hearts, where no person can see the battle that's been going on. A cheerful and a loving spirit may represent an inner victory that may result in determination that not to shed gloom on the spirits of other people. A courageous heart may not be the result of temptation, but may also result in an inner strength, an ultimate victory. As Jesus stood before Pilate, he seemed to possess the ultimate courage, encouraged to go where duty led and to refuse to hate. That was the result of not the lack of struggle, but of the inner victory and the struggle. He receives strength to win. As I look out here and I look at our program and it says 50 years, seems to go by fast. Too fast. I remember every day I remember a very special part of my life and one of the reasons that I'm here. And I'll get to that thought in just a minute. I'm a dog man. That's what my brothers and sisters in the military called us in the K-9 combat teams. And Pastor Ted Marshall, I served with the U.S. Air Force Security Police, bringing the first patrol dog units over to Vietnam. I know the bond that we have as veterans is very special, and we can talk to each other. We can look back at those times that we served and remember. Now that the years have passed, it seems like our memories are still clear, but we choose to start thinking about the good things that happened to us while we were there. We have a new perspective. I think maybe I'm mellowed. Time has mellowed me a little bit, sometimes a lot. February 13th, 2016 was the dedication of the Military War Dog Memorial here at this beautiful park, Veterans Memorial Park in Tampa. That was such a special day for me, as is today. Look around this place and you see that this place is here to honor you, our heroes. Veterans and civilians got together and wanted to tell you that they care. And they built this beautiful park and they put the monuments and the information and the museum here so that the sacrifice that's been made by our military and the true to heart service that we have will not be forgotten. Psalm 71 tells us, though you have made me see trouble, many and bitter, you will restore my life again from the depths of the earth, and you will bring me up, and you will increase my honor, and you will comfort me. It's true that after all these years, we tend to remember the good parts and the true meaning for caring for each other. Healing does take time. Also, understanding and looking back at history and discovering the truth. That the truth is, you are loved and never forgot. Those that love you, don't forget them either. Always hold them in your heart. Honor them. Think of the good times. Remember the smiles. Remember the laughter. Remember the brotherhood. The statue over there is of my K-9 partner, Sandy. And the story of how that came is a long story, and I can see Sandy right now, right where I'm standing. I can see him. Sandy was a black and tan German Shepherd, big dog, a big male German Shepherd. He was one of the first Air Force patrol dogs to be deployed to Vietnam. I learned a lot from him, how to trust. I learned to read him. I learned to understand him and to believe in his loyalty. I'd watch for him for his warnings of danger. I would follow him in the dead of the night. I learned to love him, and I understood completely that his whole world was to protect me. His courage, his devotion, that dog had it all. To put me more important than his own life, he would give his. That they are willing to protect us. I understood that to do today, dogs love us more than we love themselves. That's unconditional love. They would do anything for you that they could. Today, when I think of him, I also remember the good times. I remember I had a friend that I could talk to. I told him everything about me. I told him about the Dear John letter that I just got. I told him what I really felt about the officers and the NCOs that would turn up their nose when we passed by because we had some odor about us. He never gossiped. He never ratted me out to anybody. He would sit there with both ears listening. If you have a dog or a shepherd, you know that they'll listen to you. He'd listen intensely, tilting his head to the left and looking at me. But when I said something stupid, he would tilt his head back to the other side, to the right side, and give me that look. What? You're really that dumb? Yeah, he really knew me. Yeah, we were a team. We took care of each other. I was making sure he's fed, making sure he was healthy, making sure he was dry or warm, happy or sad. And sometimes we even had to have him dipped. We had to put him in a big tank to dip him for fleas and ticks. And when he came out of that dip tank, he would shake and make sure that I was covered also. He didn't want me to have fleas or ticks. He was operated on for hip dysplasia. And understand, I never left his side. I stayed in the clinic that we had there, the Veterans Clinic at our kennels, all through his operation, to his recovery, and slept with him in his kennel for the next several days. I could not be separated from him. I wanted him to know how much I cared for him. When I was hospitalized for several days, my buddies brought him to the hospital. We hid him under my bed just so he could see and stay with me for a short time. See, Sandy he really needed to see also that I was okay. I believe that special love is from above. If you have any doubts, spell dog backwards. Veterans Memorial Park was built with love. Love for the men and women who served, and those that are now serving our country. They're remembered and respected here. So our heroes, and some special heroes, are the K-9 war dogs. Come with me sometime and meet one. Give him a hug. Come with me and see Sandy. For our brothers and sisters that are here today, thank you for letting me speak to you. For the family and loved ones and the patriots that are here today, thank you for letting me be with you. I have one request for the Vietnam veterans that are here. I know that your heart sometimes aches for the way that you were treated when you came home. Time has passed. Old wounds can heal. I'm not asking you to forget, but because that part is our history of what happened. But I want you to look towards your heart and understand this. Today we hear people are saying thank you for your service. Don't let your heart be bitter and say that's too little too late. I want you to look deep inside and think of how much love you see here today. There's a way you can answer that, which will not only help you heal, but will help the people that say that to you understand. And this means something for you and them. Just respond when they say thank you for your service with this. You're welcome. I would do it again because you're worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted, and for your being here today and sharing with us. I'd like to present you with a plaque, South Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 787, presented to Ted Marshall in appreciation for your presentation at our Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans and War Dog Remembrance Ceremony at the Hillsborough County Veterans Memorial Park, Tampa, Florida, March 29th, 2025. Okay.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to ask if you bear with me. I have a traumatic brain injury and I'm kind of losing the battle a little bit today, so hopefully my message still gets across. Well, good morning. Before I begin today, I'd like to thank all of our military members in the audience, past and present, for their service. To all of our Vietnam veterans, I'd like to say again, welcome home. And to our American Gold Star families, I would like to thank you for your sacrifice to this great nation and let you know that your heroes will never be forgotten. My name is Anthony Duro. I'm the current judge advocate and 250th Marine Corps Birthday Ball Committee head for the Marine Corps League, Marine Forever, Detachment 1440, a member of the Veterans Council of Hillsborough County, Inc., and a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, 0311 Infantry Rifleman. Hoorah! Hoorah! All right. So I served two combat tours in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, a 7-month tour in 2003 with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, and a 3-month tour in 2004 with 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines. And I'm here today to talk about the legacy that our Vietnam veterans have left behind. So after our 7-month tour in Iraq, we got into a C-130 to head home, and we took a short flight from Iraq to Kuwait, then to Ramstein Air Base in Germany, followed by a very brief stop in Salerno, Sicily, where I had real espresso for the first time. I actually had 8 shots of real espresso for the first time. So I shook the entire way to Shannon, Ireland, where our Battalion XO bought 2 pints of beer to honor everyone who didn't make it home. And I was only 20 years old at the time, not even legally old enough to share those beers in the States with my brothers in arms, even though we shared blood, sweat, and tear on foreign battlefields. Our first stop in the United States was to Bangor, Maine, but we weren't allowed to get off the plane because they were just going to refuel and take back off, so it didn't really feel like we were home just yet. From there, we flew to March Air Force Base in Riverside, California, and once the plane landed, I remember looking outside the little porthole on the side of the plane and seeing those little, that ladder well vehicle, the vehicle with the steps on it driving up, and became kind of fixated with the fact that once I get my 2 size 9s off that bottom step, I'm finally back home safe on American soil. and I could drop my pack because my war was over and I'd finally be home safe. So I walked down the steps and I put my first foot down on the tarmac, then my second foot down, and I was overwhelmed by the feelings of relief. And when I was writing this earlier, I was thinking, how can I share with you guys what that felt like? It's a crazy feeling, right? And again, it's a little weird, so I'm a Marine, deal with it. When you really, really, really got to pee horribly and you can't find that restroom, then you finally get there? That's what it felt like. All right? So I was staring at my boots on the tarmac and the hand stretched out in front of me. And I look up and I see this gray-haired gentleman with a Vietnam veteran's shirt and hat on. And he said, "Welcome home, Marine, welcome home." And I could see that he was fighting back tears in his eyes as he hugged me. And he said, "I served in Nam and I wanted to make sure that there was somebody here to welcome you back." Over his shoulder, I could see that behind him was a long line of Vietnam veterans and civilians that were all the way out to a hangar that was waiting for us to celebrate with their American flags. We got tons of hugs. We witnessed some of the 1,000-yard stares that we know about well. We shed some tears together, and then we got onto a bus. And when we got on the bus, there were some Vietnam veterans randomly spread out between the seats. And they had some prepaid phone cards, because this was back in 2003 when that was a thing. And they had their cell phones on them. And I remember my non-vet, and he said, "Here, son, call your mom." And that was a remarkable experience in my life, and I personally want to thank all of our Vietnam veterans on behalf of my Iraqi freedom brothers and sisters in arms, because even though you did not receive the welcome home that you all deserved, you went out of your way to make sure that the rest of us did. Honestly, I didn't understand the impact that moment would have on my life, because I was so lost in coming home and trying to just get back to being adjusted, being in garrison. Then in March of 2004, we lost a lot of Marines near Fallujah, Iraq, and the battalion commander gathers the entire unit in the gym, which is never a good sign. And he said, "Half of you guys are leaving back to Iraq in 2 weeks, the other half is leaving in 4 weeks. You're going to be combat replacements. We don't know where in Iraq, we don't know how long you're going, we don't know what unit you're going to, but get your gear ready." So 4 weeks later, I went back to overseas, and after a 3-month tour in Al Mahmadiyah, which is a small town outside of Fallujah, Iraq, my vehicle was hit by an IED. As a result, I have a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, constant headaches and migraines, hearing loss, tinnitus, problems with my spines and the nervous system in my arm and shoulder, among other things. And as you can probably imagine, I was a little grumpy and cynical after coming home with that. So I wondered, is there still going to be people there waiting for us when we get back home? Did they still care? And was it worth it? Things had changed in 2004. At the time, the public sentiment about the war was a little different, but I wasn't interested in the politics of it. I just wanted to go home. So the same thing happens. I get off the plane and I'm thinking, thank God this is the last time I'm going to have to do this. And I get to that bottom step, and when I get there, there's another Vietnam veteran waiting for me to welcome me home again, to make sure that I wasn't alone. I was getting on the bus, and this time I was greeted by a Vietnam vet who was a Marine Corps gunnery sergeant who was still fit to his uniform, and he wanted to proudly remind everybody that he still did. He gave me his phone card, and he grunts at me, "Call your mom." So now I'm back in Camp Pendleton, California. I have about 8 weeks until I get out of the Marine Corps, but 3 of those weeks were terminal leave. So in reality, I had 5 weeks to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life while decompressing from a second combat tour and my newfound injuries. This time, it was time to go back to being normal, right? So I was struggling, imagine that, with being normal in the new world here. And my Vietnam veteran dad tells me, "You better take your behind to the VA." So I get to the VA, and the doc tells me there might be a new normal that you're going to have to get used to, which I wasn't too happy about, but I figured, all right, let's make it happen. They suggested that I go to a group therapy session that had some other combat vets, and they asked if I would mind participating in a group that was made up of veterans from different wars, not just post 9/11 veterans. I said, sure, I don't even want to be here, but whatever, let's just do this, right? Go to my first meeting and feeling like a total weirdo because I don't know where I fit in all this and what I'm supposed to do. First person that greets me, Vietnam veteran. Says, "Welcome home, brother. I served in Nam and I got you." Right? That was honestly the most comforting thing that I had heard since I had gotten out of the Marine Corps. He was an old Army vet. I was nice to him because he was old. But he
Careful.
taught me a lot of tricks, things that he had learned to do during his struggles trying to adjust over the past, I believe it was around 40 years at the time, or 30 something years at that time. Because he didn't want me to suffer the way he did when he came home. And I still use a lot of those tricks over 20 years later now. So when I was asked to speak about the legacy of our Vietnam veterans have left behind, I wanted to mention that the things that you guys have done for us might have seemed like a small gesture at the time, but to us it has left a lifelong impression. You all are the reason why it's cool to support the troops again. Americans now recognize how horribly they treated you upon your return and now thank our troops randomly, not just on the big holidays. We join our veteran service organizations that you guys created and maintained to learn from you and continue your work on improving the lives of our military members and families. We get involved in politics because we see how hard you fought to pass legislation like our honoring our PACT Act, and we make sure our veterans are receiving the care that they've earned. We attend events like these and volunteer to be guardians for honor flights. We strive to make sure that the younger generation sees events like these so that they understand what happened in the past and so that they don't make the same mistake again. I was once told that our children are only 25% of our population, but they're 100% of our future. So we want to make sure that they're taught to honor and respect our veterans. And the best way to do that is through the actions of our own. So you taught us by example as you blazed trails for us to follow, and for that we will forever be grateful. And with that, I just want to say thank you all again and welcome home.